Today I'm going to share with you an easy way to add new life to your still images using free software that runs locally right on your own PC. So to accomplish this in the easiest way possible, we're going to make use of the Forge UI for Stable Diffusion. Now, if you don't have Forge already installed, first check out my video on Forge to get it installed and running on your PC. I'll put a link in the description below. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is open Forge. And to do that, we're just going to navigate to the folder where you installed Forge. Mine is on my C drive in a folder named SD for Stable Diffusion and a subfolder named Forge. Double click into the Forge folder here, find run.bat, and double click run.bat to start. Forge UI loads a lot of modules, so it takes just a few seconds here to start up. Give it just a little bit of time. All right, and here comes the UI. When it loads, yours may look a little bit different than mine. I am set on for a light theme. A lot of people choose dark themes, so yours may look a little bit different, but the functionality here is going to be the same. Okay, now that your UI is loaded, go ahead and look at the tabs along the top here, and you're going to see one that says SVD. SVD is Stable Video Diffusion, and Stable Video Diffusion comes preloaded into Forge. Okay, so now that we're on our Stable Video Diffusion page in the Forge web UI, we need to add an image here. Now keep in mind that this will only work with images that are sized to either 1024 by 576 or 576 by 1024. It's important to keep that aspect ratio, otherwise the Stable Video Diffusion won't work with it. So probably the easiest thing to do would just be come over here to text to image in Forge, and then just go ahead and create your image here, sizing it to 1024 by 576, and just create an image. But I've got some photos that I've taken that I want to try and animate here. Now, I have not pre-tried. I've not tested any of these yet. So it may work, it may not work, but I'm going to give mine a shot on actual photos. But if you want, just go ahead and, create an image here within Forge UI. It'll work the same as long as the image size is correct. All right, so let me go ahead and choose an image here that I want to work with. I've got a image pool here, and let me just see which one I want to give a shot. Now, SVD, it's very hit and miss. So sometimes you can work for a long time with an image and it's just not going to work. It's just not going to animate. A lot of times what will happen is features will become distorted. You'll get almost a monstrous look to some of the images. It doesn't work all the time. And when it does work, usually it takes a lot of iterations to get something that you're happy with. So, but it's fun, and when it does work, it can really add something to the image. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose, which one do I want to do here? I'm going to choose this little girl right here. And hopefully what I'm hoping to get out of this is her hair is already being blown by the wind a little bit. I would like to see maybe some animation with air blowing through her hair, and we'll see what happens. Now I'm going to open this in Photoshop because what we need to do is we need to resize the image to get to that aspect ratio that's required, the 1024 by 576. So I'm going to open mine in Photoshop. You can use any image editing software that you want, Affinity Photo, Inkscape, anything to resize your image. Let me go ahead and get this open here in Photoshop. All right, so there's my image. Now I've got a predefined crop for Stable Video Diffusion already set up in here. Where is that at? Here it is right here. It's I have mine labeled as SVD 1024 by 576. If you want to create your own preset, just go down here where it says New Crop Preset, and you can set whatever dimensions you want and then name it whatever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and it's going to resize my image here to work with Stable Video Diffusion. Now I have to decide if I want this more portrait or landscape oriented here. Yeah, that's a little too tight. I think I'm going to go like this. That's the one bad thing about having to go with this one aspect ratio is a lot of times you're going to lose a lot from your image here, but you just gotta size it and make it work the best that you can. All right, so there's going to be my image I'm going to work with in Stable Video Diffusion. Let me go ahead and save that. And 1024 by 576. I'm going to leave it as JPEG. I'm going to set the quality to 100. And we're just going to go ahead and save that here. You know what? Let's put that in samples. And I'm just going to call this sample 1. Just like that. All right, now I'm going to go back to Stable Video Diffusion here. We're going to go back to the VD tab, and we're going to click and find that image and then drag it in. That was in Pool, Samples, and Sample 1. There we go. All right, so there's my image. Now my settings, what I usually leave here is, of course, it has to be the 1024 by 576, or if you used a portrait orientation, then you would have your 576 by 1024. For the video frames, I typically choose 24. Sometimes I'll choose 36. I do have a higher end graphics card, though, a higher end GPU. So if you have a higher end GPU, you can get by going 36, even 48. Your motion bucket ID, this is going to be how much change, how much movement there is in the image. Now it starts out at 127. I usually set this down. I set it down to about 30. And my frames per second, I use, it's set for 6, which of course is I can't think of the word I'm looking for, whatever it is. 6 goes into 24, but I'm going to set this up to 12. And what that's going to do is, because I have 24 video frames and I'm setting my FPS to 12, that's going to give me basically a 2-second animation here. Now, if I set this to 36, I would get a 3-second animation. The largest animation you can get locally on Stable Video Diffusion is 4 seconds. So keep that in mind. So I'm shooting for a 2-second animation of this image here. Now my augmentation level, I leave it 0. My sampling steps, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and up that up to 30. I'm going to leave the CFG scale at 2.5. And one thing you'll notice right away is, unlike when you're creating an image, there is nowhere here to input what you want the video to do. In other words, I can't say, hey, I'd really like to see, you know, some wind blowing her hair or something like that. Stable Video Diffusion is just going to look at the image, and then it's going to think what would look good to animate this image like. Personally, if I have a close-up portrait like this, I like it a lot of times if they blink. Some wind in the hair and then maybe a blink would add a lot of life to this image. But you don't get that choice. Stable Video Diffusion is going to choose what to do. So all you can do is generate it and hope for the best. And a lot of times it may take me 10, 20 generations to find something that I'm happy with. So anyway, once you have all your settings done here, I leave it on Euler. I leave this down here on Caress. I usually go to my seed. I use 30,000. Don't ask me why. I just found that it works good for me. And then once we have all that set, we're going to go ahead and click the generate button here. And as you can see over here, it's starting to generate our animation. Now, how long this takes is going to depend on a couple things. It's going to depend first and foremost on your GPU, how much VRAM you have on your GPU, how powerful the processor is on your GPU. Secondly, it's going to take into consideration the number of frames that it's trying to generate, this motion bucket ID, and then your frames per second. All of these things are going to either increase or decrease your processing time. Generally, I find that it takes about 3 minutes. Usually what I do is I have a little, where's it at right here? I have this little guy, and I usually, so it's running from a previous video I was recording. But what I usually do is, about the time I hit that generate button, I come here and I hit this. And then that gives me a more accurate reading of my actual time that it takes to process my image, as opposed to this up here, which is not highly accurate. This gives me a better reading in seconds, something that I can relate to as far as how long it takes. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this. And when the image is done generating, I'll come right back. All right, and there we go. Let me go ahead and stop this. And here below, you can see all of the frames that were generated. and actually see the animation that Stable Video Diffusion created, click right here. Now, unfortunately, on this take, there is no movement in her hair whatsoever. There's no blinks in her eyes. There's absolutely nothing going on here other than it's like a pan with the camera, and that is really it. So I'm not real thrilled with that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to up my video frames here. And the motion bucket ID, I'm going to triple that to 90. And I'm going to go ahead and run this again. And because I increased those so much, it's going to take a little bit of time. I'll go ahead and I'll be off here probably by about 10 seconds. But when it's done, I'll show you this time here, and that'll give you a rough estimate about how long it took to generate this image. All right, so we are done, and the preview popped up there. This took roughly about 4 minutes to generate. That's at 36 frames with a motion bucket ID of 90. And I saw the little preview popped up, and I think I'm going to be happy with this. I don't have a blink in the eye, but I love the motion. I love the wind in her hair. That's very nice. And one thing it didn't do, which it does sometimes, is it did not distort her eyes. Her eyes still look good. It didn't distort her mouth or her nose. It kept all the features looking nice. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Of course, I could run this, you know, a dozen, 2 dozen more times and probably come up with something a little bit nicer. If I increase this to 48 frames, I may get a blink in there, which is what I would really like. But for this demonstration, I am happy with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more image here. Let me navigate back to my pool. All right. So let me see what I might want to do in here. Maybe try and animate some of the smoke. You know what? Let me go with this black and white one here. All right. So we're going to open that in Photoshop, resize that. Let me see which way I want to do it. Nope. We're going to leave it like this. And all right. So let me see. Now I think I'm gonna leave it like this. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and save that. 100% JPEG 1024 576. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll call that sample 2. All right, and let's get that in right here. There's our image. All right, and I'm just going to leave these at the 36 and 90. I am going to go ahead and bring up my stopwatch right now. That way I'll have a more accurate time of how long this takes to generate. What I'm hoping to get out of this one is just a lot of movement in the smoke. It would be nice if it would generate an actual like kind of blowing motion from his lips here as well. But, you know, that's kind of asking for a lot. So really, if I can just get some smoke moving around in the image, that would be nice. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the generate and start. All right, so our generation has completed. I believe this is going to be an example, what I was mentioning about the face becoming distorted. Yeah, it's just, it's kind of garbled and you really can't make out anything. I was hoping it's more like the smoke is kind of going up into his face instead of out away from his face. I'm actually not going to continue with this image. I'm going to choose another image here and give it another go because I want to get at least 2 good ones out of here. Let's see. You know what? I wonder what it would do with a landscape image. Let me just try and do something without a person in it. I've actually never done this before, so this will be interesting to see what it does. All right, so we're just going to leave it right there. And let's do it right about there. All right, go ahead and save that guy. And we'll call that sample 3. All right, and get sample 3 over here into Stable Video Diffusion. Right there. All right, and for this one, I am going to lower my frames back down to 24, and I'm going to put this back at 30. And we'll go ahead and render here. Bring that stopwatch up. And go. 2 minutes and about 40 seconds. Reset that and close it. And let's see what we got animation-wise here. Well, that's kind of nice. I kind of like it. I like the way that the... Oh, that's kind of interesting, too. Because the AI was smart enough to move the clouds, but not move the actual sun in the sky so that the sun stays with the reflection that's on the water. That's actually kind of cool, because I would kind of expect everything up here to just move, and it got it right. Actually kind of like that, and for a first go, that's pretty darn cool. I like that a lot. All right, so what do you think? Should I do one more? Maybe just one more. Yeah, let me go back to the pool here, look, see if there's anything in here. I wonder if it's smart enough to flicker this fire. Let's give that a shot. All right. All right, so yeah, let's see. Let's go about there. All right, and this is going to be our sample 4. And let's bring that into Stable Video Diffusion here. Sample 4. And like I said, what I'm really wanting is, like it kind of did with the clouds here, I'd love it if it can pick up on the fact that this is fire and to make that fire flicker. That would be really cool. Let's see what it does. All right, so we are done. Play this and see what we got here. Yes, it does move the fire. It's odd that it's zooming out as well, which is actually, I mean, it's actually a kind of a cool effect here. You know, I'm curious. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to do this up to, I'm going to do 36, and I'm going to add I'm just going to double on the motion here, and I'm going to generate this again and just see what kind of changes we get. So let me go ahead and do that. Start and generate. So there we go. All right, I was busy closing my stopwatch, so I actually didn't see the play on that one. So let me go ahead and refresh that, let it play again. Oh, I like that. I do like that. That is pretty much awesome. I do kind of wish there was some movement between the couple here. Maybe he was pulling in closer to her or something like that. But I like the fire movement. The camera movement is good when it's pulling back, but then there at the very end, it starts to zoom back in again. So what I would probably do is cut that probably 1/8 of a second off of there and just have a zoom out and no zoom back in. But I do like the animation and the fire. I think it's super cool that it was able to pick up on the fact that that's fire in this image and just animate that. Like, I mean, it's not moving trees, it's not moving the ground, you know, or the candelabras. It's not moving anything that shouldn't be moved, just the fire. It animated the fire, and that's actually really, really cool. I love that. I love it. All right. Because I never know when to quit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try my luck here with, I'm going to say one more. I've already said one more before. All right, so make a decision here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do this one here. Now, this it may just simply zoom in or zoom out, kind of like it did with the image there with the fire. But let's give it a shot. You never ever know what it's going to do, and that's kind of what makes this interesting, is you never know. It's almost like the AI has an interpretive eye, and it just does whatever it thinks is going to be best. All right, so we are on sample 5, and let's see what we get with this one. Sample 5. All right, so 24 frames. Yeah, I'll leave it at 24 and 30. I need some change because this is a pretty static image. You know what? Let's up this to 36 then as well. So we'll do 36 and 60. Go ahead and bring my stopwatch up here and generate that. And yes, we are generating. So I will be right back as soon as this image completes. All right, so we are done. And wow, okay. The still image here kind of looks like a nun. like an evil, a demented nun. All right, so let's see what we got with the animation. Oh, it's a shame it kind of messed up her face here some, because it actually has her walking. That's really cool. I actually really like that. Wow. Yeah, unfortunately, even lowering like the CFG will not correct that. The problem is that her face is such a small part of the image that there's just not there's not enough detail there for the AI to be able to keep it. It's a shame because I really do like the movement. I like it a lot, but with the face being messed up, I don't think that's usable. This is my wife, and I don't think that she would she would really care for that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to choose one more here. Let's see what we got. I would love it. I would love to be able to do this one and have the AI actually have her complete her somersault, or I would love to be able to do this one and you know what? Let's give him a shot here. Let's see what it will do. All right, so of course we're going to have to go portrait mode with this, and let's bring it. Yeah, about like that. Now there's no telling what it's going to do with this, and Jason there, he's a pretty big dude, so I don't want to do anything that's going to make him angry at me. But hopefully it does a good job here. So sample 6. All right, and let's get this into our Stable Video Diffusion. There we go. And let me think. Oh, I got to change my inputs here. 10.4, and should I leave it at 30? Oh, I messed that up. 24. Get back. All right, so I am going to go ahead and leave it at 36 and I don't know about the 60. Yeah, we'll just leave it at 36 and 60, give it a shot, see what it generates, and let's have a go. All right. Okay, so so we're done, and I caught the preview on this. Now, at first I thought, wow, that's actually kind of cool. It's going to have him, you know, moving the donut up to his mouth and taking a bite. But it's kind of like he exploded with a big saliva bomb coming out there. Let's hit this and zoom back up here. Yeah, I don't know what all that's about. Man, that's crazy. Okay, it also distorted the dumbbell here just a little bit, and his t-shirt as well. But that doesn't matter because, of course, this is not usable because, yeah, that's odd. Okay, so the first maybe second here is actually kind of good. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to regenerate this. I am just going to knock this down to, I'm going to go to 24, and let me think about that. Yeah, I'm going to up my frames per second to 18. That'll give me 1.5 seconds of video, and that should be 1.5 seconds should be pretty good here. All right, so let's just go ahead and generate this and see how this one turns out. Start it and generate it. Okay, so we are done. Let me reset and close this. I did not catch the animation because I was looking at my phone. Let me see what we got going here. Nothing. Okay, we have no movement in the hand. We just have a simple zoom out. And that is it. Okay, like I was saying, it's very hit and miss, and you have to play with the settings here quite a bit and just generate a number of images, and eventually you'll find something that you're happy with. I am going to do one more because I can't not try and do little Zoe here and get her image animated. I have just got to see what it's going to do with her image. Let me trying to think if it's better to get more of her hair in here or her foot. Sometimes if you do this and basically you cut off a limb like that and then you try and generate the video, Stable Diffusion doesn't know what to do with this, and it just kind of flops it around. It makes it kind of weird. It's a shame because I really would like to see her hair get animated here, but I think I am going to have to take out some of her hair in lieu of leaving her foot in there. So I'm going to go ahead and crop it right about here. I'm going to save this as my image. I can't believe it, but I think we're up to sample 7. Is that what it's going to be here? Are we at, yep, we are at sample 7. Wow. Okay, I do promise this is going to be the last one. I'm going to do this one, and regardless of how it turns out, this is going to be the last image. By now you have a great idea of just what you can do with Stable Video Diffusion and what its capabilities are and what its limitations are. Excuse me. All right, so on my video frames, you know what, I'm going to go 36. Motion bucket, I'm going to leave that at 60. My frames per second, I'm going to drop that back down to 12. And let's just go ahead and generate this. Get my stopwatch going. Generate. Wow. Okay. That is not good. Oh my goodness. That is just terrible. Terrible. Okay. So in good conscience, I cannot leave this like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the video frames. I'm going to certainly lower that motion bucket ID. I might take that all the way down to 20. Going to leave the FPS at 12. We're going to regenerate this and just see what happens here. You know what? My seed got changed on me. Put that back to 30,000 and regenerate and get my stopwatch and go and generate. All right, let's see if we can't get this so that it does not completely obliterate and distort little Zoe there. Okay, so we are done here, and unfortunately this is going to be one of those images where Stable Video Diffusion just doesn't know what to do with the image. It's trying, but it just can't do it. I really don't want to leave on that image. I'm just going to pick, I'm going to do one more right here. I've got to leave on something good. Can't leave on an image that it's unable to work with. So of course the best thing that we could get out of this would be maybe a blink and some animated snow. So let's see if Stable Video Diffusion can get that for us. And if so, we'll call this video a wrap. Oh my goodness, for a sample 8. Supposed to be 3. We're now at 8. All right, so here we go. Load in Miss Eliza there. We're at 1024, 576. Yes, 24. Let me think about that. Motion bucket ID, this is very much of a static image, so it's going to have to use some, you know what, I'm going to go up to 90 on that. Video frames, I'm going to go to 36. Leave frames per second at 12. All right, go ahead and bring my stopwatch up. By the way, the stopwatch is just it's for my own personal benefit. This kind of gives me an idea about when the image is going to be done generating, so I can click the button to start recording again. So that's what this is for. So I know that this image here is going to take roughly about 4 minutes to generate. So somewhere around 3 minutes, I'll start recording again. Anyway, I will be right back. As you can see, we are generating the image. And as soon as Miss Eliza here is done, we will be back and see what Stable Video Diffusion can do with our image. Okay, so we are done, and right away I can see it took out the snowflake. Oh, okay. Well, they actually do move very, very quickly. It's almost like the wind is blowing the snow there in the beginning, but the first second of this actually looks pretty cool. I do wish there was some movement here in Eliza herself. She's extremely static. There's no movement whatsoever to her face, to her eyes, or anything. But yeah, I do like the fact that the snow is moving like that. That's actually kind of cool. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. You have a good idea now of what Stable Video Diffusion can do, what its capabilities are, what its drawbacks are, all of that stuff. And some of the images that Stable Video Diffusion didn't work well with here, for example, the one of little Zoe when she's doing her cartwheel, that doesn't mean that it's incapable of generating a usable image. It just means in my demonstration here, you know, I didn't spend the amount of time that it might take to get a good usable image out of that. You may generate 20 images. One of those may be fine. It may take you an hour. It may take you 2 hours. But sooner or later, you would get an image that would be usable by changing the variables up here, and just, you know, with enough iterations, enough time, you would get a usable image. At the end of this video, I'm going to go ahead and put some of the images that I have generated using Stable Video Diffusion off of my own images here, my own photos, just to show you what can be done. And hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and I really appreciate you watching.